All right, welcome back. So before going to deep dive the microservice understanding, I want you to start first understanding of microservices and how the monolithic application is converted into the microservices. And for that purpose, I am just taking one example on this video, which is like a video streaming application. And our job is to define divide this big problem, video streaming application, into multiple component, subcomponent, and once you define the subcomponent, your job is to create a separate independent service for all these subcomponents, and also your job is to make sure that all these subcomponents or microservices interact to each other to achieve the actual requirement of your video streaming application. Okay. So the first, any system you are going to define, the first responsibility here is to define the user, right? Because user is the first entity which you have to make sure you have entertained that in your decision, because any application you build, you always build that application for some user, right? So that's why user is very important. And to handle this user as a component, I am going to build user service. So basic responsibility of this user service is manages user profiles and preferences and data for that user. Okay. This user service is primarily talks to the authentication service to verify user credentials. All right. The next thing is user service interacts with the user database to retrieve and update user information. Okay. So these all are discussing about the user service, like what are the things you will do with user service. Okay. The next thing is user connects with the search service. Okay. User service connects with the search service, recommendation service, and notification service to provide a personalized user experience. This user service sends user activity data to the analysis service for tracking and analyzing, right? Now, next point, once user is defined, like who is going to use your application, the next important component here is video management, like because this application is primarily built for video, right? So you have to build a component which primarily deal with video management, right? So that is the second component I'm going to consider. And to handle this video management, I am developing a video management service. Its responsibility is to handle the uploading, processing, storage, and serving of video content to user. Okay. This video management service stores and retrieves video data from the video database. It also notifies the analytics service about video related activities for metrics collection. Okay. This video management service interacts with the user service to manage video related to the user accounts. So until this point, we have understand user component requirement which is served by user service. We understood video management component requirement which is served by video management service. All right. Next is comment service, because you have user, you have video. Now the next usual requirement is commenting, right? Comment on videos. It is good, like feedback kind of things. Okay. So that component, like commenting component, is served by comment service here. Okay. Now let's understand the responsibility of this comment service. It manages all operation related to user comments on videos. All right. This comment service works with the comments database to store and fetch the comment data and threads. Okay. This comment service informs the analytics service about the comment statistics and trends, right? Then this triggers the notification service when a new comment is posted or when a user receives a response to their comment. Okay. So until now, you have discussed three components: user, video management, and comment. These components are served as user service, video management service, and comment service. After this, the very important thing is search, right? Because user, then video, there, commenting on video is already discussed. Now is to search the video, search the content. And search is the very, very required functionality, right? So let's discuss the search component. And this search component is primarily served by search service. So search service responsibility is enables users to search for video, channels, and other contents with the platform, right? Within that platform, okay? This search service utilizes data from the user service to tailor search result to the user history and preferences. Accordingly, you just customize the searches. Okay, so that is what it is saying. Then this search service interacts with the video management service to access video metadata for search indexing. So that is what search is primarily doing, right? Any user, according to the user, search criteria would be a little bit tweaked, and then this search will be fast only based on indexing. So you have to do the indexing. That is what I am trying to say. So we have already covered user, video management, comment, and search. Now after these all components, next component would be a recommendation, which is the obviously new. I mean, in the current age, recommendation is the obvious feature in every application, right? So that recommendation component is also required now, right? So this recommendation component would be served by a recommendation service. And so as a response to this recommendation service, I can say it provides personalized video recommendation to users based on their viewing histories and preferences. All right, that is what primarily, and it increase the actually the user experience. So recommendation service is always built for improving the user experience. Okay. Now next point here is to understand that how it works. So this recommendation service leverages user data, right? Because it is a user recommendation. So it always needs user data first from the user service for tailored suggestions, right? Then this also uses viewing patterns of user and trains from the analytics service to enhance recommendation algorithm. Okay. So until this point, we covered user component, we covered video management component, we covered comment component, we covered search component, and we covered recommendation component. Now next thing is analytics, right? Because I mean, before going to analytics, let's first discuss the authentication service. So another component which is very important, although it requires at the time of user component to be, I mean, at that discussion only I have to include, but I missed it. So let's include now. So this is like authentication. Authentication is also a component required in this system. And to handle this authentication component, I am going to design a authentication service. And this service has responsibility like oversees the security aspect of user login, token, and authorization level. This authentication service verifies user responsibility. All right. So this verifies the user responsibility. All right. And then it provides authentication tokens to the user service to facilitate secure session. All right. And as I told you, like already I mentioned, like notification service. So notification is the next component. So in this component, like now we have already covered user service, we have covered video management service, we have covered comment service, search service, recommendation service, authentication service, right? Almost we covered many components. And it might be the last component, notification component, right? In notification component, its primary responsibility is sends out notification to users about events like new video upload, comments, or anything like system messages, okay? Then this notification service receives trigger from the user service, comments service, and other services to send relevant notification to users. All right. All right. Now, okay. Yeah. Anything else? I don't think so. So we have covered user, we have covered video management, we have covered comment service, we have covered search in service, we have covered recommendation, we have covered authentication, we have covered notification, but we have not covered analytics as of now. So let's try to understand the analytics component requirement here. And this component requirement is don't go by this way right now. Let's try to understand first the analytics. So like this analytics service requirement is like it collects and analyzes data on user interaction, video performance, and system health. This analytics service gather data from the video management service and comment service to provide insight into content performance. That is what analytics is doing, right? They will give you the metrics. Then also it receives user activity data from the user service for audience analysis. And after these many, I think most of the component we covered, but we left with the databases. So we have three databases primarily to be covered here. One is user database, another is video database, and third is comment database. I think these three data need to be persistent here in this application primarily. But in detail, when we implement, might require something else. But for initial, previewing, by initial observation, I can say that these three databases is suffice as of now: user database, video database, and comment database. Here, user database stores all user-related information, including profiles, authentication data, and preferences. Video database contains video content data, metadata, and performance metrics. And comment database is primarily holds comments, threads, user interaction with comments, and moderation data kind of things. Yeah. So I think most of the thing is covered inside requirement of video streaming application. Okay. Few generic things let me mention here. Each of these services is designed to operate independently with a specific set of tasks and and communicate with other services via APIs or message queue. This separation of concern allows for easier maintenance, scalability, and updates without disruption the entire ecosystem, entire application. The database service as persistent storage for each service ensure that the data is isolated and managed according to the needs of the respective service. So this is how we visualize the basic requirement which was video streaming application for you, right? Now, if you look at the breakdown here, you can see that the complete structure, whatever the component or services I discussed, all these are captured in this diagram for you to understand. And you can see that how these interaction is shown in this diagram. Whatever I mentioned in my word earlier, like it communicates X, Y, and Z like that. All these things are part of this diagram only. Okay. So this is how one monolithic kind of application is broken down into subcomponents, and then design services to handle that subcomponent in your application, which will ultimately produce the microservice architecture for your application. This is how you can perceive or you can observe this. Okay. So I hope that I'm justifying this breakdown and you have definitely understood what is the intuition and how you will break down the big problem into a small problem, which will be primarily at a unit task level, and that small task or unit task will be served or handled by separate independent services that is called microservice. All right, let's meet in the next segment of video. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye. Take care. Thank you for completing this video. And I hope that you definitely have learned something which will help you in your system design interview. Hope to see you in next video with new concept and skills needed for the system design interview. By then, keep learning, keep improving, and keep sharing your knowledge.